Frequently, peripheral boards start out as peripheral low grade because there's a lot of junk hanging on them. Metal that does not add to the gold recovery or precious metal recovery value of the board. Well, let's take a look at some of these from a recent pickup and see what we can do to increase their value. Now, I believe this came from a docking station. I could be wrong. I haven't been able to track it down to a specific model, or so I'm guessing that it was a docking station because we have a number of plugs along the back, and this looks like where the laptop would have sat down on it. Anyway, to get a little more value out of this, we want to remove this metal bracket. So let's see, what does that do for us? All right, now we have a cable there. So what else can we do here? We really don't have to do much of anything here. These are all going to be gold plated connectors in here, which are fine to leave on a peripheral high grade board. We have a number of components, BGAs and IC flat packs scattered all along the board, along the back as well. So we can throw this into our peripheral high grades now. And all we had to do was take off this big chunky metal plate. Yeah, let's cut this wire off of here. I'm going to put that with my number 3 insulated. This, that's a very powerful neodymium magnet, and it kind of sticks. This is kind of too heavy to be aluminum, so I'm thinking stainless steel. I'll check it on a grinder. And let's see, do these folks, yeah, they very clearly react to the magnet, so these are going to be ferrous. All right, LCD kind of screen here. This one's actually pretty simple. To clean this up, we turn these tabs. You can see these little tabs right here. So we're going to turn these little tabs. Hard to get a edge cutter in there, so we're just going to use the flathead screwdriver to push those tabs over. Then we can pry off that LCD screen. There we go. Now we have gold enig all over this side. These 3 dollops are actually ICs. So now we have a peripheral high grade board. Interesting. Yeah, I think this just got put in the wrong bin, because that's a peripheral high grade board the way it is. We have gold enig here. We have some daughter cards full of components. We have flat pack ICs and ICs all over the place, and tantalum capacitors, more tantalum capacitors and ICs all along the back. So yeah, that just got put in the wrong place. That happens. This came out of some sort of communication system. It would have slid into a rack or something, you know, and screwed in, and then we have this to pull it out. So I think, oh, I know what we're going to do here. I know what we'll do. The first thing is to get this bracket off, and we have screws on both sides. So and we want to get the copper grounding straps off of there. Put that down with our copper. number 2 copper. And then, yeah, some of the pieces on this are aluminum and some are ferrous. So the screw knob was ferrous. We have some screws here. And, oops, sorry. And then we have a screw right there. So that piece is aluminum. This is aluminum, but I think that little chunk there might be ferrous. Yeah. So there's a little screw post thing here that's ferrous. I think what we're going to do with that is we're just going to cut that off. We don't need to. I'm not worried about that little bit of aluminum. I can chuck that in with my dirty aluminum. The little handle was aluminum. All right, so these pieces go in with the aluminum. This stuff goes in with the ferrous. We're going to go with the dirty aluminum. Now, we still have these chunky things here. Those are not ICs. Yes, they have 6 legs, but you can see how tall they are, and you can almost kind of make out that there's something inside there. And if we break one off, what we can see is that it's a copper coil. So we're going to break those bad boys off of there. They come right off, pretty brittle ferrite shell with the copper coil inside. Now you can see we have these gold-plated, they may be resistors, I'm not sure. There's no code on the board to help me understand what that is. And, or at least I can't tell which code corresponds to that component. Flat pack ICs, BGAs, MLCCs, a whole bunch of ICs along the back here. So we have a real nice peripheral high grade board now. Now, this is not copper I'm going after. Very thin copper hair. It's not worth the time to try to unwind those. Just throwing that in with the shred. Oh, you should have been in with the peripheral high grades. All right, we have another LCD screen here. And that one little pin actually has a little tiny spot of solder on it. I guess to help keep it from coming out or coming loose. That could present a little bit of a challenge for us. We'll see. Yeah, not that bad. So again, there's a IC underneath of that dollop, gold Enig all along here. So now that's a peripheral high grade board. LCD screens, this glass, will have a thin layer of indium tin oxide in there. And that is one of those things that I would love to be able to find someone that would recycle that, because indium is, I don't know if it's technically one of the rare earth elements, but you know, it should be recycled. Unfortunately, I have not been able to find anyone to do that. And the buyer that I had for flat screens has now decided that they're not going to work with small businesses anymore. They only want great big companies. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that. All right, now this board is kind of frustrating because we have 2 ICs, gold-plated pins, epoxy dip tantalum capacitors. There just isn't a lot of value here, but there also isn't a lot of junk on there. So this would be kind of borderline Peripheral high versus peripheral low. It really could go either way. So I'm gonna go ahead and chuck it in with my peripheral low grade boards. Yeah, this one's kind of could go either way. It would be a really weak peripheral high, and there's no arguments that it would fit in peripheral low. And we'll get the ICs off of this. They're socket mounted. Now, this is an interesting board, peripheral board, because what you have here, MOSFET with an aluminum heatsink, cap, some other components over here. You've got, these were AV jacks, audio jacks. We can get rid of those real quick. Right there, that's all gold plated inside of that. And then you have a number of older components on this board. Resistors, diodes, these number resistor things here. Oh, that's an interesting, it's like an IC circuit. Huh. Does that come apart? Let's see. Let's see now. It does come apart. Isn't that interesting? So that part there gives you some number readouts. This may have just been an adapter. So it's not an IC. I think that just was the adapter, and this was the part that did the, I don't know if that is actually an IC or it was just a display. Interesting. I'm not gonna put it in with my ICs. I'm putting that in with the peripheral low grade bin because that's where this is going, peripheral low grade. We have some visible gold, so it's a peripheral board. There's some components on it, but yeah, peripheral low grade. And we'll put these with our ICs here after a little bit. Probably have some brass in here, but I'm just throwing it in with the shred. All right, now then. Interesting little board here. IC, oscillator, some connectors. To me, it just says more junk than value, so I'm going peripheral low grade. Now, big chunky kind of power stuff. Let's get this IC off of here. We still have got another stink bug flying around here. So we have a number of ICs. They're pretty large. We have some older tantalums and resistors such along there. Oscillator that is not gold edged. We have these big aluminum heat sinks and big caps and some transformers, probably some solenoids here. We have these big heavy wire connectors here. There really isn't much we can do with this that's going to turn it into a peripheral high grade. It's a peripheral low grade board, but we just can't, we're not going to be able to make this a peripheral high grade. I mean, it's not anything that we can take off that's going to change that value. Wow, let's get all this wire out of the way here so we have some idea what we're dealing with. Now what we're left with is copper coil, transformer, caps, flat pack ICs and ICs, resistors, more copper in that toroid, probably some sort of solenoid looking thing here. So it's still peripheral low grade. We're not going to be able to make this anything other than a peripheral low grade. So let me get this coil off of here. All right, low grade, peripheral low grade. And since it's here in my hand, get the ferrite off of that piece. Get that center part out of that. Put it on a little screwdriver. And get that copper off there. Trash. There we go. Nice little ball of copper for our number 2 copper. Ferrite can go in with your small ferrous bits. Let's see. We have here flat pack ICs, tactile switches, gold-plated battery connector. I'm going to put that in with the peripheral high grades. Man, I don't know. I've got, that's copper, that's brass. We've got MOSFETs, but they're all packed in this rubbery kind of gunk here. Let's see if that'll come out at all. I don't know. It's like some sort of rubbery coating to protect everything or keep it isolated. Hard to say. Okay, well that didn't do me much good. So I think this was probably some sort of power transformer kind of thing. And I'm just going to chuck that in with the low grade boards. Little piece of copper there. And now, what does this make you? Well, we have visible gold in the ENIG. And the general rule of thumb is no visible gold in your mid-grades. So that would suggest that this would go in a peripheral, and it doesn't have much in the way of board value, you know, ICs or anything. So I'm going to go peripheral low grade. Gold ENIG, gold-plated connectors, tiny little IC there, another couple over there, another flat pack IC, MLCCs. Yeah, we could go either way on this one, low grade, peripheral low grade or high grade. I'm going to chuck it in with my high grades. LCD screen needs to come off. And then we have a couple of big caps, tactile switches, oscillator, IC flat packs. Ooh, great big old green gold cornered BGA there. So yeah, I'm comfortable putting that in with my peripheral high grades because that really that turns everything around there. You saw me do that, so I'll do that off camera. Because you don't need to watch me do that again. If you want to see me do it again, you can always go back and replay the video. Get this piece of metal off again. And that reveals a gold cornered BGA. Gold cornered BGA. More BGAs, ICs, a bunch of other smaller components. We have an oscillator. We have some gold Enig. Peripheral High Grade. Little piece of shred, a little bit of number 3 insulated. We already did one of these. I don't know why I threw these in here. Should have thrown them up there. Let's see now. All right, now the rest of what I have in here, you've already seen me work on. So let's concentrate on that. I don't know. I thought some of you may recall from the video where I unloaded this that I was thinking that maybe this came out of an Apple. An Apple server. This may have been a module for it. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, if you know, please leave a note in the comments so that the rest of the shiver understands where this came from. I may find out once I get it. It says Apple 2009. And get these screws loosened up, unlocked, because they're a little bit jammed. Interesting. There's one screw. In order to get to it, I have to take this part off. So how does that come off? Well, I can probably do this for right now, just so I'm not dealing with that awkward arrangement. But we still need to figure out how to take this off. Because that would suggest that there's a CPU underneath here. I wonder if something is down inside of there. Let's see. That appears to go down there, and oh, I see it. Okay, there's the screws there. I wonder if those are Torx. Let's see. Are you long enough to get down there? You might be. stink bugs, go away. You want to crush them, because if you crush them, they just, well, stink. All right, so copper aluminum heatsink. We'll get this fan out of here and get the wire out, and then I guess that whole thing can go in with copper aluminum heat sinks. Adds one serious heat sink there. And so there is the module. What kind of CPU is this? The Xeon. So that just makes it a pinless CPU scrap value. That's a really interesting. So yeah, that would have been out of an Apple, and that would have been the CPU module. Maybe this was RAM over here. To tell you the truth now, I don't remember. The way that sat down on there, it went down like that. So yeah, that could have been RAM over here. Get that wire off of that, off of that heatsink. So now this can go in with the motherboards, and it's got the straight arm here. So a small I think we can put that with the small metals. It had the Xeon. So yeah, I think we can put that with the small metal motherboards. That's where it's going, until I figure out otherwise. That was really interesting. I had not seen one of those before. I don't normally scrap apples a lot, so, and, oh, so that was, these were the levers for, so this would have been the lever for removing it in some fashion. Interesting, very interesting. That's just sheet aluminum. And I'll clean this up and get this in with the copper aluminum heat sinks. You can, of course, I'm sure most of you know this trick, right? You can get that copper and, oh, and that piece wants to come up too. So let's see, maybe we can get more than just the, sometimes the tubes will break and you won't get the complete copper heatsink part. This one looks like it wants to be a little more cooperative. There we go. Now we got nice big chunks of copper there. All right, well, I'm gonna get the fan out, clean up the wire. You don't need to watch me do that. Why don't you instead check out one of these other videos that's popping up on either side of the screen, and the round one in the middle is to help you to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Have a great day, y'all.